Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, as we learn from St. Augustine, Doctor of the Church, while we read his book, Confessions. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to the final reading from Book 2. Congratulations on already finishing 2 sections of the book. We will be reading Chapter 10 on page 52. Can anyone unravel this twisted tangle of knots? I shudder to look at it or think of such abomination. I long instead for innocence and justice, graceful and splendid in eyes whose sight is undefiled. My longing fills me, and yet it cannot cloy. With them is certain peace and life that cannot be disturbed. The man who enters their domain goes to share the joy of his Lord. He shall know no fear, and shall lack no good. In him that is goodness itself, he shall find his own best way of life. But I deserted you, my God. In my youth I wandered away, too far from your sustaining hand, and created of myself a barren waste. Before reading this book, I had heard people refer to the pear stealing story of St. Augustine. I didn't know the story myself, and nobody ever elaborated, but now I can safely say, and you can too, that we know the story and his thoughts on it. And as my old English teacher would say, I have gained some cultural literacy, or Catholic cultural literacy to be accurate. And this is good because now I can speak intelligently to this event in his life. And it clearly was an impactful event. Many of us reading it may think that it's really not that big of a deal, but it obviously was for him. And understanding why it was significant is important in helping us know him better. Now, something I've learned about him in just these 2 books is that he is, or he was, a sensitive soul. Meaning he felt things deeply. I think we will see more of this as we continue to read. And we typically think of these saints from the ancient days just as like stone statues, because that's all that we see of them. But they were once living and breathing here on earth, and they had unique personalities. St. Augustine is kind of seen as this formidable man who was just very educated. And we see the mind, but not always the heart. So I think it's good that we see how he thinks about past sins or about how he behaved in his youth. And what we see is a man who deeply regrets how worldly he was and how this pains him. He's very sensitive to the ways he turned away from God. And I understand that because I often feel the same way. I'm sure you do too at different times in your life. So, in this way, he is a relatable person, which can give us hope that we can reach sainthood just like him. But that is all for Book 2, Catholic Pilgrims. We will start Book 3 soon. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.